Hello and welcome to another Camel Sump Middle School video tutorial. In this episode I'm going to discuss how to take your graphic design from Gravit Designer and bring it into Boss Laser. Essentially the final steps needed to get your file ready to be engraved. This tutorial is aimed at a wide variety of projects that we run here. The 6th grade acrylic engraving project, the 8th grade cutting board project, and who knows what else. But this series of steps is widely applicable. So here it goes. First thing you need is your completed graphic design from Gravit. Regardless of what this is, the important pieces are that your dimensions up here are correct and that they match the final destination for what this engraving is going to be on. So what I mean by that is 350 by 235 millimeters should match the dimension of, in this case, the cutting board that I'm going to be placing this on. Another project might have different dimensions, but these dimensions need to match your real-life object that you want this image engraved on. Double check that that is true and that this says millimeters. If this says pixels, change it to millimeters and then fix what you see on your screen. Second step, and this assumes that you're done with your graphic design. If you need more help on Gravit, there's another tutorial for that. Alright, now we're ready to export. We're going to come up to File, come down to the word Export, come over and do not choose these. We're actually just going to click the word Export at the top. We want to set the format to JPEG. We want to set the size to 300 dpi at the bottom of the list here. Make sure that the page color is being used and the JPEG quality is scaled all the way to the top. And we're going to come over and we're going to click Export. Now watch the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. We're going to get a file downloaded right there. That's nice. Now that file is waiting in your downloads file on the hard drive of the computer you're using. That's going to become useful in just a second. Okay, so we're done with Gravit, believe it or not. Before you get out of Gravit, just make sure that you saved your work to the cloud, and then we're going to move on. Don't close Gravit just yet, but we can minimize it. We're going to come over here. This time we're going to open up the RDWorks V8 program. Okay, now a couple basic setup guidelines in Boss Laser. This grid right here should represent your actual project, your cutting board, your acrylic, whatever it is. So the dimensions of this need to be spot on as well. Recalling that our dimensions for this particular project were 350 wide by 235 millimeters tall. I'm going to come up here, click Config, come down to Page Setting. I'm going to enter those settings right here. Page width is going to be 350 and my page height is going to be 235. Make sure this says millimeters and click OK. Now I can scroll out a little bit. Now this is the frame of your cutting board. Now if you successfully exported your Gravit design with the same dimensions, when I import it into this program, it should sit directly on top of this and be perfectly centered and fill up the entire thing. Now, if your graphic design from Gravit only has something down here in the corner, the same should still be true because you set the canvas size in Gravit to be the entire size of your cutting board. So let's see how this works. I'm going to come up here to Import, which is the arrow pointing to the picture, Import. Now, you're going to have to do some navigation here. Drop-down menu right here. We're looking for the Downloads folder. Okay, find the one that says Downloads. You may have to scroll up and down. Downloads is right there. Remember your file name. This is mine right here. I'm going to single click it and I'm going to click Open. Let's see what happens. Scroll out a little bit more and I can tell the green square right here represents the upper right corner of my laser canvas. And look at that. My picture is filling it up all the way out to the borders. Okay, so I am just about done with this process. It's really not that bad, you guys. I've imported it. The sizing looks good. Now, if you import it and your picture looks like this, we got issues, right? Because these dimensions should be identical. This should fill up the entire canvas. Now, if you find yourself having to stretch things out to make it work, come find me because something went wrong along the way. Okay, now, final step, we're going to check our speed and power settings. Okay, now I have provided you with examples of different power settings. For engraving, your speed is always going to be 300 and your power is going to be anywhere between 15 and 30. For wood, for acrylic, it's a little different. To change these settings, we're going to come up here, we're going to click the BMP, and this is where you have access to changing speed and power. 300 is always your speed. If this says 100 or 150, change it to 300. The processing mode should say scan, and if blowing should be set to yes. Make sure that those are all accurate. And then these four numbers are all going to be the same, and they are going to be representative of the power that you want to use. I'm happy with 25. I'm going to leave it right there. If you want to use 27, 32, 18, that's fine. Just make sure they're all the same number. Okay, I'm going to click OK. Now, final step before you call Mr. Keating over to export your file. You need to save this file. So we're going to come up to File, Save As, do some more navigation. This time you're looking for the school's cloud, which is down here. It's called CHMS Tech Ed. Click that. You should be able to navigate your way to your page now. If you're an 8th grader, we're going to double click that. Find your team, open up that page, open up that folder rather, type your name, and click Save. You'll know you've done that successfully when up here in the upper left corner, your file name is shown right here. And Boss Laser sometimes takes a while, but here we go. Here's a file extension. H drive, 8th grade, Summit Team, Mr. Keating. At this point, you are ready for Mr. Keating to come over and export your file. If this is not done, or your speed and powers are not done, Mr. Keating's going to tell you to do some more work. So just make sure that you have those things done, and you should be good to go. Hope this helped.